Thanks to everybody who submitted questions for the Q&A. Hope that my answers are enlightening, and if not enlightening, a little entertaining, or just bland. Appreciate those who take time each week to watch my videos. I know we're all busy. We all have lives outside of YouTube that we deal with. So I just hope that you know how much I appreciate you taking time to watch my videos, commenting, and hitting that like button. I also want to thank those who subscribed. I can't believe I'm over 230 subscribers now in just a year. So thank you to those who subscribed. Apparently you are a glutton for punishment and just keep coming back for more. Anyway, let's get on with the show. So my first group of questions comes from Central Illinois Dashcam. He had a lot of questions for me. I'm guessing he's very curious about me, or he's just very bored. His first question: which dash camera do you look up to the most as a role model? Well, I'm gonna say none, because I wouldn't exactly call us all a bunch of role models. I will say that we do point out a lot of problems on the road, and so I try to take inspiration from a lot of other dash cameras. I get a lot of neat ideas from them and try to expand on them. But I would say the one channel that gives me probably the most inspiration is Onboard Cam Europe. His editing style is similar to my own, with a German twist on it, I guess is the best way to say that. But no, I have a lot of sites that I watch. YouTube channels for dash camming. The community is huge. I think half of us don't even know about the other half. But some of the channels that I regularly watch and interact with would be Bad Drivers of Albuquerque, Car Cam Clips, because if you don't interact and watch her channel, she'll probably come and kill you. Bad Drivers of the Hampton Roads area, he and I have had a few good conversations about car maintenance and the channel in general. Wendy of Bad Drivers of Connecticut, she's got a good channel and a great following. Some others, DCE, love his editing style too, and Dashcam Andy, mostly because he has very similar tastes in music that I do, although I tend not to sing as much as he does. Dallas Dashcammer's got great presentations, and he's just getting funnier with each video. And one of the other ones I watch a lot it's called Exposed UK Dashcams. That channel is basically a compilation channel where they take in clips from many different drivers and put them out and put them together. But the way they do it, I don't think I've been more on the edge of my seat watching a dashcam compilation before. The situations that they get into in those videos. And there are tons of others. I subscribe to over 280 different dashcam channels alone, or road channels, I guess you could call them. So there's a lot of them out there. I try to watch them all, at least do the best that I can to watch them. I don't always comment. Sometimes there's nothing really to say. The video says everything. But just know that I take a lot of inspiration from many different channels out there, and the way that the dashcam community embraced me when I started really putting out the new format has been wonderful. Question number 2: where do you get your ideas for editing? I'm clinically insane, and as growing up as a child of the 80s, I just love pop culture. I've always had a strange sense of humor, and when things pop into my head, they either fall out onto the floor, or they get stuck and I can't get them out until I actually create them. I would say probably one of the biggest things that I did that took the most time was the intro to the video where I created the 80s style video game that I called Red Light Smash, and that just got stuck in my head and I could not get it out, and I had to find a way to make it work. And just those initial 15 or so seconds for that video took me 4 hours to edit. but it's because I couldn't get the idea out of my head. So, things in pop culture, things that go on in politics, the world in general, I try to draw from all corners of the world for ideas for my editing, because I don't like to do the same thing over and over again unless it's the Homer scream or some of the other emojis that I use. But I try to keep it fresh each week, and that's what takes the most time. Burgers or pizza is question number 3. That's easy, pizza. I could eat pizza every meal, every day of the week, and not get sick of it. And the gut can speak to that for me. Question number 4. Favorite color? It would be blue. I don't think I can really expand on that answer any more than that. Question number 5. Favorite comedian, alive or dead? I'm going to go with John Panette. I thought John was a hilarious comedian.
But people think in LA we're like, they're all skinny. You know, you eat a piece of bread. What? If this stuff were that bad for you, I would have been dead 10 years ago. Trust me.
I'll move on to a couple of the unconventional questions here. If you choked a Smurf, what color would it turn? You know, I try to imagine so that I could come up with a good answer for you, but like I said, I'm a kid from the 80s and my brain is only 8-bit, so there aren't enough colors to really give you a good description there. But here's an artist rendition. Question number 7. If McDonald's sold hot dogs, could you, with a straight face, order a McWiener and tell them to supersize it? When I was 22, I could probably have done that. I am no longer that young and have to try and be responsible. Don't go to McDonald's that often, but I did find this.
Hello?
Sorry, what was that?
Said I would like a McWiener, and could you supersize that, please?
Yeah, sorry, we don't have that.
Oh, shoot.
Question number 8. Have you ever had to pee so badly that when you finally released your stream, you realized that your toes were curled up into tight little fists? And my answer to that also is no. But that's because I had an operation not too long ago so that I could become a sock model. And because of that operation, I cannot curl my feet, I can't bend my toes, I can't do really anything. Here's a picture of what they look like now, so you kind of can understand. Alright, so we got a bunch more questions here. Keep on going with Central Illinois Dashcam. How would you rate the Drivers of Massachusetts compared to places that you've seen in other videos? I would rate them probably in the middle of the road as far as bad driving goes. From what I've observed on other channels, California seems to be the worst of all of the areas, but I will have to say that's because there's a lot more highway out there. Most of my drives are through small suburbs and on back roads and side streets. I used to live an hour from where I work and had to take an interstate to get here, and that was way worse. And that's what started me getting very frustrated with the Drivers of Massachusetts. Question next. What dash cams do you use in your car? Well, my forward-facing dash cam is a simple G1WH. I've had that for a little over a year and a half now. For my rear camera, I normally use my helmet camera, which is a Replay XD 1080 Mini. It's about the size of an LED flashlight and has a very good resolution when it's recording in 1080. It comes with a bunch of different mounts, so I'm able to mount it in my back window very easily, as well as on my helmet. For the side camera that I usually have pointing at me while I'm driving, I use the Leineck AC65 Sport Cam, or Action Cam if you will, and it's basically a G1 variant. It uses the same software just a different body style. That's also the camera that I mount on my leg when I'm on the motorcycle, that I have facing backwards. Next question was, what camera do you use for your motorcycle? That would be the Replay XD 1080 Mini. Next question is, what editing software do you use? And I got this question quite a few times from various submitters. I use Cyberlink's Power Director version 14, the deluxe edition, and for the price I couldn't beat it. It was $70. It has all the features that I wanted to be able to do what I do with my videos. It works very well on my PC. I use a desktop. I don't use a laptop to edit my videos. So it does a great job for the price. Next question, where did you get the emojis that you use in your videos? Depending on what I want, I have to do Google image searches. I use Bing for image searches. Most of the time you're going to get the same results, but sometimes you get better results with one or the other. Typically do searches for transparent images so that they'll overlay on my video without, a white background, or a background that's going to kind of take away from the effect. So I just do image searches. You got to be creative with the way you do your searches, how they're worded, in order to find what you're looking for sometimes. What make, model, year, color car do you drive? I drive a 2012 Toyota Camry that is gray. What make, model, year motorcycle do I have? I have a 2005 Suzuki DL650 V-Strom. What inspired you to start dash camming? Anger management, I guess, is the easiest way to answer that question. I grew up in a very rural area of New York State and never encountered the kind of stuff that I've seen on the roads here, ever. And it used to drive me so crazy. I would get so mad. And I was one of those punk kids with the fast car that would, get revenge on somebody who did something to me on the road. I didn't want to be that guy anymore. What inspired you to start your Dashcam channel? It was a good place to vent once the cameras became available and I started recording. What was your first cam? That would be my G1WH that I'm currently still using. Are you married? Got kids? Yes and yes. I've been married for almost 8 years, and my son is 6 years old. If you are married, does your wife use a dash cam? Usually only when I'm with her. I usually use one of the Linex cameras. If you have kids, do they have bicycle cams? No, doesn't go out on the roads or anything, so no real reason to have a camera with them. What's your scariest moment caught on camera? Did you poop or wet your pants? I'm gonna have to say it was the time that the Pokemon appeared in my passenger seat when I wasn't ready for it. Thanks to the miracle of Depends, however, I did not poop or wet my pants, although it was not a comfortable ride the rest of the way home. Have you ever been in a crash? I don't say accident because a wreck caused by a bad driving is no accident. I would probably agree with that. I think most of us would. Have I ever been in a crash? I've been in several. Probably my worst accident, I would say, would be back in 2012 when I was hit head-on while riding my motorcycle. I was in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. I wasn't going very fast because I had just left a red light. But a little old lady, I think she was probably 82, driving a big Buick, was sitting in a line of traffic and decided she didn't want to wait for the light anymore and was going to cut through a parking lot, but she had to turn left across my lane to do it. And she pulled out to make her turn. I was coming. I hit the horn. She hit the gas. And I landed on the hood of her car. The next part of the question is, did the person claim that it was my fault? When I finally climbed off this lady's hood, She got out of the car and started swearing at me and saying why did I run the red light and it's my fault and this, that, and the other. I had never heard words like that from an 80-year-old's mouth. But the best part was when the police did arrive on scene, she gave them several conflicting stories about what happened. I did not have a camera at the time, but I was just calm and kind and polite. And then the lady's family showed up. And they pulled into this parking lot where we had moved and came up to me, and the first thing they said to me was, "What did she do this time?" Next question. Have you ever caught any drunk drivers on camera? No, I have not. But I have seen drunk drivers and have reported them. So the next part of the question was, did you stay behind the drunk driver till the cops arrived? When I did call in a drunk driver, it was on Interstate 495. And I did call the cops. I had a nice hands-free system, so it was no big deal to sit and talk to the dispatcher. And when the cop came up beside me, I told the dispatcher, yes, that's the officer. I see him next to me. The car's in front of me, and he pulled them over. So that was a win, and back then it would have been great to have had a camera there. Have I ever been pulled over while I was dash camming? No, I have not been pulled over by the police in 8 years. And so no, I have never been pulled over while dash camming. And finally, the bonus question. Why is it so difficult to fart? Well, I don't know about you, but for me, it's because my glutes are so chiseled and big. I know it's hard to tell when you look at me in the videos that I've appeared in, but they are big, very muscular, and so much so that they block air as it's trying to escape. You know, I'm definitely not trying to brag, but you know, a few squats in the morning will really do wonders for you. So, Central Illinois Dashcam, thanks so much for your questions.
New York City, concerning selling loosies. Hey buddy, don't let the facts get in the way of the truth, huh?
That yellow line real hard to look at, isn't
I want
it?
to discuss.
The yellow line.
The cops were on top of Eric Garner. If
The yellow line.
de Blasio is not concerned.
Next question comes from Bad Drivers of Greenville, South Carolina. Why doesn't your wife appreciate you honking? The simple answer is that people are insane, and she is concerned that there might be retaliation for having the horn blown at them. When we're driving together, we have our son with us most of the time, so there's no real point in trying to exacerbate a situation, so I don't blow the horn unless it's absolutely necessary. The next group of questions comes from Camdy. So the first question is, why the long face? This is referring back to the intro to a video I did a couple weeks ago where I superimposed the horse face over my own, and the answer to that is not so much why the long face, but why the chubby body, and that's because I eat too much. Do you own a pet? No, I don't own a pet. I'd love to have a pet. I'd love to have a dog, but my wife does not like animals. The closest I've come to having a pet were those 3 baby birds living in the nest out back of my house, and I'm happy to report that of those 3 little baby birds, 2 of them survived to leave the nest. One of them did leave the nest, but I believe when he hit the ground, he or she broke their neck when they hit the ground. I found them in the parking lot when I came home one night. It was very sad to see after watching them grow for a number of weeks. What is your favorite dish that you like to prepare yourself? In my best Nixon impression, I am not a cook. But when I was single, my favorite thing to prepare myself was Tony's frozen pizzas. Am I right or left-handed? I am right-handed. Do you play a musical instrument? Not really anymore. When I was younger, I played the trumpet from the time I was in 4th grade till I was a senior in high school. Have Have you ever received a traffic ticket? If yes, what for? It was for speeding, and I deserved it. I was moving from one highway onto another, and the ramp between the two was 2 lanes, and I took the corner doing about 75 miles an hour, and I passed a state trooper without even realizing it. He wasn't too pleased with me, and went as far as to look me right in the eye and say that if I tried to fight the ticket, that he would make sure that I was penalized to the full extent of the law. I paid the ticket, I endured the 5 years of increased insurance premiums, and I don't speed like that anymore. If you could change only one thing in the world, what would it be? Boy, if I could just snap my fingers and have ISIS gone, I think that would be a good start. So that's my answer to that. Why do you suppose they put the name of the street on the side of a bridge that only traffic passing under it can see? Well, I think that's more like, an advertisement for a travel agency. Look where you could be. You could be traveling on this road. It's right above you. Come to beautiful State Street. When you had hair, what color was it? I don't remember. No, just kidding. It was a brown to light brown depending on the seasons. Kind of bleached out a little bit in the summertime. I actually can grow hair. I choose to shave it off because I do have that little solar panel bald patch in the back of my head. Who or what inspired you to start a dash cam channel? I did cover all those answers, I believe, pretty well from Central Illinois questions, so I'll just skip over that one. Do you drive over sinking manhole covers or around them? It depends on the road. I tend to try and straddle them if I can. They sure do make a loud noise when you hit them, and definitely not good for the suspension to continually do that. And then finally, why are manhole covers always in the road instead of on the side of them anyway? Because I would recommend contacting your local Department of Transportation for an answer to that question. I searched everywhere for something, even something remotely funny to answer that question with, and I could not find anything that satisfied my sense of humor. So I apologize. Bad Drivers of East Tennessee asks, do you ever get hate comments? And if so, how do you handle them? No, I really haven't gotten many hate comments. Some people that have commented in what I would consider a negative way usually just say that I nitpick too much, and to them I usually just ignore. I don't answer those kind of comments because I don't want to, stir the pot. I don't want to feed the trolls. I have gotten a few people where they were just downright nasty about me in general and the way I edited the videos, and I just blocked them. I don't need that kind of negativity, and for the most part the comments have been civil, many praising, others questioning, and there really hasn't been too much debate because most of the stuff that I include in my videos is pretty cut and dry when you watch it. Number 2, what is the worst driving mistake you've ever made? The worst mistake I've ever made was shortly after I bought my Camry. I was coming home and I attempted to just pull around into my garage one night, and I cut the corner too sharp and dragged the side of the car across a concrete pylon that holds up my rear deck on my house. And I scraped it from the passenger door across the door, the rear quarter panel, to the bumper cover, even across the hubcap on the tire, and I had just turned 500 miles on the car, and it cost me $1,000 to repair and repaint. So I would say that was my worst one. What are your driving pet peeves? My biggest pet peeve is people who turn right on red without stopping. I think if the nitpicker people are right, that's the one I pick on a lot. just because I see it so often, usually by people running the red light to get ahead of me. Number 4, have you ever been to Tennessee? No, I've never been to Tennessee. I've been to many of the states, but not Tennessee. I do want to go there for a vacation sometime. I've heard Nashville's great. Want to take my son to Dollywood because they have a steam locomotive there that he would just love. So hopefully in the next couple of years I'll get down there. I actually work with a guy who grew up in Tennessee, so he's given me a lot of good locations to go and visit, and it sounds great. Next question, have you lived in Massachusetts your entire life? I have not. I've lived here a little over 19 years. I grew up in upstate New York, and when you say upstate, a lot of people just figure, north of New York City, maybe the Albany area. I'm actually from more central New York, north of the New York Thruway, near the Adirondack Mountain region, and I miss it very much. I didn't back then. I wanted to get out and see the sights and see the world. I've done that, and frankly it stinks, and I'd rather go back. The only problem is that where I come from is so rural. There is really no work in the technology fields that I specialize in, and therefore is not really feasible right now. But please send money and I will move back. Finally, what are some things you want to catch on Dashcam but didn't? Boy, so many things. I want to catch a Sasquatch. Kind of hard. I don't think they really live too close to where I am right now. I'd love to see a unicorn, perhaps a leprechaun. Elvis would be awesome to catch on Dashcam, but he's pretty elusive. I really thought about it, and I think it would be cool if I could catch Slender Man, but you know what happens when you see him. How long does it take you to edit one video? Whew, that's a tough one, because it varies. My weekly videos usually encompass Saturday through Friday, and depending on how many incidents I get in a week, will also, affect how long it takes to edit the video. I will say that once I have all my clips together, editing with special effects, sound effects, the stuff that you actually see for the finished product takes me upwards of 5 hours, and I'll usually do that on a Friday or a Saturday night. But there's a lot of prep that goes into each video also, so just taking the clips from each day and cutting them up so that I isolate the individual incidents takes me probably an hour to an hour and a half each day. And then I take all those individual clips and I create one big raw file, and then I'll sit down and I'll watch that raw file once or twice with a notebook and write down the idea that I want to do for each individual incident, whether it be music, sound effects, both, special effects, anything I want to put in there. So I would say the prep and brainstorming process takes me anywhere from 5 to 6 hours, and then taking those ideas and actually creating the final cut takes another 5 hours. So you're looking at anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a week just to produce one video that lasts anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes long.
Are you kidding me, man?
What, are you kidding me?
You're kidding me.
Are you kidding me?
And now you know why I only do it once a week. What is your dream car? Camry doesn't count. That's an easy one. A 1978 Saab 99 Turbo. I love this car. I just love the lines. I love the way it looks. The 4 headlight configuration is just, it's awesome for me. Having driven Saabs for a long time, I love the 99s. I love the 900s, the classic 900 series. The 78 99 Turbo would be my car. What is your dream bike? The Suzuki doesn't count. That one's hard to really say. I wanted to get a nice touring bike a couple years ago. Maybe something like a Yamaha FJR or a BMW K1200, K1600, one of those, but those bikes are so expensive. But currently my plan is to get my hands on a 2016 or later Honda NC700X. I like that bike a lot, and it's in my price range. I just don't have the ability to pull the trigger on that one just yet. How many times do you honk in a day? I would say I average probably one a day. The highest I've ever had was probably 6, but that's mainly because my commute isn't very long, which leads into the next question. What's the average mileage you put on your car in a day? My commute averages 17 miles one way, so you're looking at anywhere from 32 to 36 miles a day that I put on my car, which isn't a lot. How many Honda Pilots does it take to screw in a light bulb? Hint, ask Siri.
We're sorry. BDFM does not have an iPhone. However, the answer to your question is 42.
Would you like to visit Arizona, specifically Tucson, and meet moi? I tried, but you weren't home. Are the worst drivers in your state a Prius driver or a Camry driver, or all of the above? I'm going to go with Prius drivers, strictly because I saw a Prius that had been in a fender bender just the other day. So I'll go with that. If I keyed your car, would you A, punch me, B, murder me with a spoon, or C, sue me for my teddy bear collection? Are we talking Vermont teddy bear or Build-A-Bear? Because I don't want none of that Build-A-Bear junk. Do you know the Muffin Man? I've heard of him, but I've been told that those stories about him really aren't true. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Well, after seeing Ian do it, I'm not even going to try. That didn't look like fun at all. Northern California Drivers asks, what are your top 5 favorite channels on YouTube? That's hard, because I have several accounts, and I use this account specifically for my Dashcam subscriptions, and I've got 280 of those. On another account that I watch non-Dashcam stuff, I've got close to 200 subscriptions of channels that I follow, and I tried to come up with a good top 5, and I would say my number 1 favorite right now anyway is Corridor Digital. Number 2 would be Mighty Car Mods. Number 3 is Jay Leno's Garage. Number 4 would be Fail Army. And number 5 would be How It Should Have Ended. And I would recommend any of those channels to anybody. Number 2, Dream Car. Talked about the 78 Saab 99 Turbo. That would be my dream car. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? I covered that in a previous question. I would love to move back to upstate New York. I would love to have a log cabin somewhere in the Adirondack Mountain region where it's quiet and I can watch the birds and be near a lake. Why did you start dash camming? I did it for therapy, as I stated before. Louisiana Dashcam asks, how is the weather up there? Now, I'm doing this video on August 19th, and as we all know, Louisiana, down in Louisiana Dashcam's area, is getting hit hard with those floods. I would say the weather up here is beautiful, but my heart does go out to those who are currently suffering. Several areas, Louisiana specifically, with the floods. You got all the fires going on in California. And just the weather has been crazy this summer. I don't recall a season where we saw so much devastation happening. And, you know, I guess I consider myself blessed to be in an area right now anyway that hasn't been affected by any natural disasters like that. So, how's the weather up here? It's good. And I'm not going to go any further than that because it could be gorgeous out
but I don't feel worthy of it when other people are having such trouble with the weather. Who's your favorite actress? Well, before I got married, it would be Jennifer Love Hewitt. Now that I'm married, I don't have a favorite actress. What's your favorite food? Pizza. When is it time to party? I don't know. I don't really party, and so I didn't receive the schedule. Where is the sky? If you don't know, we're all in trouble, because I haven't seen it. Why is it blue?
The atoms of nitrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere have an effect on the sunlight that passes through them. Also, there's scattering that causes light to scatter throughout the sky when it passes through particles that have a diameter that's 1/10 that of the wavelength or the color of the light. Now, sunlight is made up of all different colors of light, but because of the elements in our atmosphere, the color blue is scattered much more efficiently than all of the other colors.
Bad Drivers of Maryland asks, 5 things you love about your Camry. So my top 5 things that I love about the Camry are 1, that it's reliable, 2, that it has a great stereo system in it, 3, it's paid for, 4, I love the fact that it has a USB connector that you can use with your iPod and actually control the iPod through the steering wheel controls. And 5 would be the auto dimming mirror, although it didn't have that when I bought it. I installed that aftermarket, but that is one of my favorite features. The 5 things I hate about my Camry. Number 1 is the TPMS. I hate that system. The fact that it's required now just drives me up the wall. You know, I'm a motorhead, so I always check my tires regardless of whether or not the stupid computer wants me to. And the fact that you have to have these sensors in your wheels that, if they go bad, can cost hundreds of dollars to replace, or at least they were hundreds of dollars the last time I checked, that's aggravating to me. It doesn't have heated mirrors, so when I hit my defroster button, the mirrors do not defrost, but that's because it's an LE. If I had the SE, I would have that feature. I don't like that it has steel wheels, but again, that's because I bought an LE and not an SE. I hate the mileage gauge that's on the dash. That's real estate in the gauge cluster that could be used for something useful like oil pressure or oil temperature. And the 5th thing I hate about the Camry is that it judges me and makes me feel bad about myself sometimes when I am going too slow. Bad Drivers of Uruguay asks, Subway or MC? I'm assuming that's McDonald's. Of those 2, I would say I like McDonald's better, but I go to Subway more often because it's better for me, if that's even possible. Number 2, he's always the person that wants to know what cars I drive. Well, I've already talked about my Camry, so that would be the answer to that. I also mentioned my 2005 Suzuki V-Strom. And then the last 2 questions were, what editing program do I use? How do I get the ideas on editing? And the time I spend on editing, which I talked about thoroughly. VIDSBYPB. Oh, I get it. VIDSBYPB. VIDSBYPB. Gotcha. Well, Peanut Butter asks, what video editing software do you use? And I mentioned Cyberlink Power Director. I can't find one that will do what I want and not crash while doing it. Yeah, that's a tough one, because it really comes down to the computer you're running on. Power Director requires at least a 3 gigahertz processor, but depending on what kind of processor that is, you could run into crashing problems. Also, the operating system you're running on. Now, my setup is Windows 10 running on a dual quad-core system with 16 gig of RAM. So, I got some horsepower, and it seems to work pretty well. But I still run into crashing problems sometimes, depending on what I'm trying to do. I don't think there's really a perfect piece of software that will do that without crashing. But for the price I paid for it, a crash now and then doesn't really bother me. I save often when I'm working on a project. I don't want to have to go back and do things over again. So that's a big thing. Make sure you save often.
Players hit 50 career homers through age 23. As Betts has, a third of them are now Hall of Famers. Boston fans also love the fact that this Mookie is named after former NBA guard Mookie Blaylock and not after the Mookie.
Shut up and get going.
Eat it.
He doesn't need to stop to let you out. That was the point I was trying to make.
You know, Toronto Roadcams asks, how much to advertise on that prime real estate forehead of yours? Well, depending on the size of the ad, it averages about 25 cents per hour. But because I sweat a lot, you'll be lucky to get your money's worth for just 1 hour. So, probably not worth it. I would suggest going with a billboard. Joseph Dugan asks, how do we know you're that good? And then he added a second comment that said 5 extra points to anybody who knows the reply and who said it. How about this?
How do we know you're that good? Get in.
Yay! 5 points! His second question, is it safe? I thought it was safe until I tried it at home, and then I learned the hard way that it isn't. TheFonz 285, one of my very first subscribers on the channel, he asks, have you ever seen a big crash due to crazy drivers? Fortunately, no, I haven't. I've seen a few fender benders, but nothing I would consider a big crash. Hopefully I won't see one of those, because I don't want my video stolen by one of those compilation sites. DashCamExtraordinaire sent me a few questions, and his first question is, what's your favorite movie? My answer to that is The Terminator. I love the Terminator movies. Not too happy about how the more recent movies that came out, from Terminator 3 and on to Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis. They could have done so much more with them. I've actually read a bunch of books that were written after Terminator 2, so I have some expectations that will probably never be met, but I love the T-800 Terminator model. As you can see here, these are some of the collectibles that I've picked up over the years, and I just, the thought of a machine like that, just, I don't know. I'm big into science fiction, so I really, I love that. That's my answer. What inspired you to start making videos? I've covered that from a couple of different people who've asked the question, so I'll just leave that there. What's the best restaurant in your place of residence? I'm not too hard to please. My tastes run pretty simple, but there's a local place called George's Surf and Turf, which has fantastic seafood, as well as burgers, fries, ice cream, you know, the usual American fare. Because we live in New England, the seafood's usually very fresh. The next question is, what does your wife think about your videos? Mine doesn't really care too much. She thinks I'm crazy. Haha. Well, my wife and your wife would get along very well. My wife thinks I'm crazy also. She just kind of shakes her head when I show her the videos, which I do every week, just to see what she kind of thinks. More than likely, I'm going to get a head shake or, I don't get it kind of thing. Anyway, she does think I'm crazy. So, what inspired you to edit your videos the way that you do? And I'll read the compliment that says, by the way, you're an amazing editor. Mad respect. I really appreciate the compliment. What inspired me to edit the videos the way I do? If you were a long-time subscriber to me, and I think DCE has been following me for a while, my earlier videos were long, they're boring. I was just putting them up to kind of vent my frustrations with the cars on the road, but I couldn't even sit and watch them back. Some of them were like 20 minutes long, and it was just one clip after the other with maybe some subtitles added. I wasn't using the software that I use now. I was only using Movie Maker. So I couldn't even watch them back myself, and I wanted them to point out the bad drivers but still be entertaining for people. So once I bought my Power Director software to be able to do more fancy editing, I was able to actually do the stuff that was stuck in my head that I wanted to put out there. So that was the inspiration. I just want to be an entertaining channel, and from what I'm seeing in the comments, that's happening. I just hope I don't run out of ideas. As long as my doctor keeps prescribing the medication, that shouldn't be a problem. The next question is, how far would you like your channel to go? I really haven't thought about it. I'm a full-time husband, I'm a full-time dad, and a full-time employee for my company. It really leaves very little wiggle room for other things. This is a hobby for me, and we all kind of dream about becoming a YouTube star and making the big bucks like PewDiePie, but I don't think anybody in the Dashcam community could really hit that mark. So I think my channel is doing well. Would I like to see, the play button hanging on my wall? Yeah, that'd be kind of neat, but it's not something that I'm really striving for, because if I do, I'll end up taking attention away from the things that matter most at home or at work, and that wouldn't be a good thing at all. The next question, worst road encounter. I'll put this up on the screen for you, even though you can't see his face. I call him Angry Joe. So the guy ran a stop sign in front of me, and then less than a half a mile up the street signals to turn into his driveway. So I was like, well, why do you need to run a stop sign to cut me off just to pull into your driveway up the road? So I blew the horn at him as I went by. Well, he didn't like that, so he pulled right back out onto the road, chased me down, illegally passed 2 or 3 cars in a high-speed rage to get up to me. When I got to the red light in town, he got out of the car and came up to my window and cussed me out.
What's your fucking problem? Huh? Yeah, that's right, dumbass. Yeah, I got you on video. Fuck you. See you on YouTube.
Ask me what my problem was, and so I'd say that was probably my worst road encounter so far. He is the reason why I have a rear-facing camera now, because boy, I would have loved to have captured all that video to take to the police. I don't know if I reacted to him really well. I just kind of pointed at the camera and let him know he was being recorded and that he was going on YouTube, but he didn't care. So yeah, I call him Angry Joe. I don't know what his name is. I know where he lives, and I haven't tried to go after him or anything. There's no point. The next question is, would you be up for a Google Plus hangout with me and a few other dashcammers? I will say I am up for something like that, but it really is contingent on scheduling. We'd have to come up with a few dates or times, and then I'd have to plan it out ahead of time, make sure my son is down to bed and I have the time to do it. So yeah, we could discuss doing that. It might be fun. I don't know how much you could take of looking at my face if we're using webcams, but everybody's got their problems, and mine's on the top of my neck. Have I traveled anywhere outside the United States? Well, I work in the IT industry. I work for a very large corporation. Back in 1999, they sent me to Munich, Germany. So I have been overseas. Worst plane ride of my life, because I was on the plane for just about 13 hours, and I had to pee really bad, and a rather large individual was in the seat next to me sleeping, and I couldn't get out of my seat, so I had to hold it until they woke up. I didn't want to disturb them. Once they woke up, I was able to relieve myself, and I thought I was going to die. It was awesome. But I did see David Blaine doing some street magic on the streets of Munich when I was there, so nah, it wasn't even worth it. Finally, the last question. Would you mind if I made a shirt and sticker of your YouTube avatar? You know, I would say no, I don't mind, but I've actually had plans to do this for a while myself. I just haven't gotten into the websites to look at the pricing and see how to get that taken care of, because I would actually love to wear a shirt of my logo as well as the YouTube address. But you know, maybe we could collaborate and figure out how to do that as well. It's kind of weird to me to ask people to buy my shirt when I'm a nobody, but I'd love to wear one, and I think it would be cool to see my little 6-year-old son wearing one. So those are DCE's questions. Thank you, sir. Or should I say, thanks, man. The final set of questions come from RandomRooster. His first question is, what video editing software do you use? I think I'm about maximized all I can do with Windows Movie Maker. Yeah, I agree. Movie Maker is good for a few things. I still use it for small projects, but for the good stuff I use the Cyberlink Power Director 14. Where do you come up with your crazy thumbnail pictures? A lot of the times I'll take a freeze frame from the video, whether it be an action shot or just some background in the video itself, and then I'll do some photoshopping with it. You know, add my logo, add the channel name, and then find a few emojis or other small pictures to add, and then I'll warp the text or change the picture around a little bit just to kind of make it look good. Then I'll push my video to YouTube overnight, and then in the morning after it's done processing, I'll add the thumbnail to it before I publish. That way the thumbnail doesn't ever change. And finally, did you design your own logo? Yeah, I did that myself with some Google images that were public domain. I just took them and put them together. I did this a while ago. I don't even remember my whole thought process, but it turned out so good. I really liked it. I have a white version as well as a black version, so depending on what video style I'm working on, I'll change that around. But yeah, I made the logo myself. I came up with the idea myself, but I didn't actually draw it by hand. I used images that I found online and then combined them. The font that I use on the logo is called Coalition. It was from a free font site. I downloaded that, and I like it. It has that almost like a cracked stone kind of feel to it. So I really liked that for the logo, and that's how I came up with it.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, leave me a comment below, and don't forget to click the like button. And I would consider it an honor if you subscribe to my channel. You can get some, I'd say great content, but I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, thanks for watching, and